Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Our Life. Again, I won't hold you up too long, so let's just get into everybody. This. Today we are going to do errands. From the moment you woke up, you knew that today was going to be busier than usual. There was a list of errands that needed to be finished before the day was done. First up was visiting one of the biggest farmers markets in the area. Sure that your family were able to attend, so your mom's like to make the most out of every minute of it. And you realized it was not just them feeling that way when you heard a whistle from your left side. Wow, this swanky show of vegetables has never seemed so highbrow. Okay. Seriously, they don't mess around with their products.
Isn't that great?
Isn't it exciting? Liz crossed her arms. You could tell she was amused. We could have picked a more perfect trip. It's been too long since we've had a true family outing. Her teasing tone said more than she actually did. Next door neighbors had joined you this day. That's what made it a true family outing. The three parents laughed approvingly. Out of the corner of your eye, you caught Cove looking at you sympathetically. Some things never changed. Some jokes never died. You'd long accepted that. You were excited to check things out. Thought this trip might be fun. You shrugged, feeling indifferent. You felt uncomfortable. You were in a bad mood. This trip was a waste of your time. Public places make me uncomfortable, but I guess indifferent. There was so much ground to cover today. You wanted to get a move on. Well, I'm ready to get started. I've got plenty of dishes in mind I could use ingredients for. Before your moms responded, they glanced at each other and smiled. Yes, that's a very good idea, Cliff. This place is much larger than it seems. It's difficult to visit each part in a single day.
I got it.
I'm sure we can make a decent dent together at least. Actually, since there's so many of us this time, we could take different sides of the market.
Sounds good.
Divide and conquer, eh? That sounds brilliant. Everyone watched your mom surprised. No one had considered that an option, but your mom flashed the group a dazzling smile and continued with the thought. Though it's a little unfair that there are 4 Payne family members and only 2 Holdens, so I'll go with you boys and even out the odds.
Okay.
That's fine with me. Cliff scratched the back of his neck and slowly met Cove's stare. They both seemed unconvinced, but weren't sure what to say about it. Don't worry, we'll be apart for only a few hours, and then we'll have something to talk about at the end of it. Father and son ultimately nodded. This wasn't an argument they were going to win.
All right.
Alright, I don't get the point, but I also don't mind spending the first part of the trip with Ari and Ma. Ma clapped her hands together at that. Wonderful. Are the teams ready to go? Hey, I didn't agree to anything. Yeah, let's go. You stayed silent. Yeah, let's go. Delighted, Ma hooked an arm around you. A little side hug. You grinned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ari. Taking the lead, Mom walked over towards Cove and Cliff, who were still eyeing her confused.
Let's go.
Come on, boys. We're heading out. Sure. Okay. Cove looked at you, Ma, and Liz and smiled slightly. He waved.
I guess.
See you later, I guess. Bye.
See you later.
See you in a few hours. Take care of yourselves. At that, Mom picked a direction and set out in the market with Mr. Holden and Cove following behind her. Grinning, Ma sent them off with a big wave. Liz gave a daintier goodbye wave herself. Despite the change in plans, you were so glad to be there. You felt like the change in plans was a good idea. You felt unsure about it. You're happy. Now you're annoyed. You definitely put a damper on your mood. It's a good change in plans. Altogether, there were 6 of you, so you could already imagine how long it would have taken to get even through a fraction of the stalls. Smiling, you looked forward to spending some quality time with Ma and Liz. When they were gone, Ma cheerfully turned towards you and Liz and put her hands on her hips. Do you think there'll be any nice ginger around here? We'll have to find out. You nodded in agreement, then keen to truly get the trip going, Ma led you both into the busy market. Some time passed browsing. There were only a few stalls you stopped at. You had fun chatting and laughing, pointing at various things to Ma and Liz, and vice versa. At one point, Ma stopped suddenly. She put her hands on her belly, gave a heartfelt smile. I think I have to use the bathroom before we left. I think I should have used the bathroom before we left home like the 2 of you responsibly did. Just need to pee?
Yes.
Yes, Liz. I'll have to visit the ladies' room now. You and Liz. Should Liz and I go on without you? Should we all go with you? Should we wait here? Should Liz and Guy go on without you? Ma craned forward as she struggled to pinpoint the direction she needed to go. She gently considered your suggestion. Actually, I might need help finding my way. Can you please come, Liz? You and your sister had to share a look over that. Why do that of all things?
Hey.
Ma, if anyone should go anywhere on their own, shouldn't it be you? You're the one needing a detour, and you're the parent here. Ma giggled, unfazed by the resistance. Liz, meanwhile, tipped the brow of her hat and watching Ma skeptically. Soon enough, Ari will have to handle doing things like errands on their own. This makes good practice. What? Ma hooked an arm around Liz and pulled her along.
Have fun.
Have fun. We'll find each other again later. Excuse me? Bye. Wait, you waved. You tried following them. You stood there stunned. Bye. It was all you could mutter as Ma and Liz waded into the crowd. They were out of sight within moments, and that what started as a group outing rapidly became you entirely on your own. You overwhelmed? That screwed them? You were done with this whole trip? You felt great being on your own? You thought Ma was being ridiculous, but you didn't really mind? You didn't know what to think? I don't like being on my own. Overwhelmed. You weren't prepared at all for being falling out here on your own. Sit. Ma had thrown you through a loop this time, and you felt lost. You were grateful for the nearby bench. Taking a few deep breaths, you took your time to collect your thoughts. Absent-mindedly, you scanned the booth with an eye shot, and hooked your attention. While most stalls were selling various garden-grown foods, this one had an array of homemade fudge. There were even vegan options for every option. Closer. You sidestepped past a few other people and got yourself right up in front of the counter for a better look. There was a widespread dozens of delicately cut squares of decadence. The owner smiled and approached you to explain their shop. The fudge is sold in boxes of 4 pieces. They can either all be the same, all different, or any mix you like. Are you looking to buy any today? Yeah, we'll get some. The whole selection was not too good not to share, and a box for myself. Your mind was already filling with thoughts of sinking your teeth into the delicious fudge. There was no walking away empty-handed now. And that was all. Yeah, I could use some fudge. I'm glad you came to the right place then. For yourself, you picked. I love dark chocolate and caramel and white chocolate peppermint and dark chocolate mint. And for the group, we're going to go dark chocolate, cookies and cream, red velvet, and caramel swirl. The shop owner carefully put your order together. Everyone else was definitely going to be happy when you regrouped later. You paid, and there was no stopping the large grin all across your face. Pivoting on your heels, you wove your way back to the center of the path. You pondered for a moment what you should do now. None of the stalls were catching your eye. What did grab your attention, however, was the head of familiar seafoam hair sticking out above the crowd. Instantly, it was Cove. He hadn't noticed you yet, but was walking in your direction. He held a couple of bags tightly in his hands. Strangely, you couldn't spot your mom or his dad anywhere. Let's get his attention. Standing firm, you cupped your hands around your mouth for added protection and took a deep breath. Cove, get your butt over here. He stopped in his tracks, his head snapped up, and he looked stunned like he wasn't quite sure where the last few seconds happened. Cove, hey. Finally, you caught his eye, and he chuckled, realizing it was you. He jogged over. He stepped around a few people to meet Cove part way. Hi. It was undeniable. He was shopping by himself. You stared at him, confused. Did you ditch your group? Cove crossed his arms defiantly. The bags twisted in front of him. Your mom took my dad and I ended up alone. Why are you by yourself? Mom, Liz abandoned me too.
What?
What? I can't believe this happened to both of us. They planned it. They had to. But I don't know why. Are they pranking us? I don't know either. And you meant it. You couldn't fathom what your moms were up to. Cove shook his head, trying to clear his mind.
Well,
I guess things are just up to us now. Yeah. And then it got quiet between you and Cove. It was awkward, and you weren't sure what to say next, but you knew you had to do something. Could I shop with you? See you later then? Let's ask. Yeah, sure. His mouth pulled into a small smile, and you breathed a sigh of relief. You weren't stuck going completely
don't
alone.
worry about it.
Even if we have to make our own fun, we're going to have a good trip. Cove smiled at you encouraging. It made you feel more optimistic, a bit more hopeful, glad that he was there, but still overall unhappy. Nothing. It was a terrible trip either way. More optimistic. You weren't alone anymore, and he also seemed determined to improve your day. That had you looking forward to things. So, where to first? I don't mind going back the way I came if it's new to you. It's not hard to miss stuff, even if you've gone past it. What have you gotten? Cove shuffled his bag around and started pulling them open so you could peek inside each one. You recognized the array of things he picked up around the market. I mostly got typical things I can use pretty easily so far. Nothing super exciting. There were a few peppers, some lemon, zucchini, among other things that were wrapped up so you couldn't discern what they were. What Cove bought made sense, but it was far more from a complete selection. You glanced around the nearby stalls. Want to start over there? Cove followed your eyes as you pointed out one of the large stalls was filled with several kinds of fruits and vegetables.
Come on.
Yeah, let's go. Once a few people finished paying and moved, you and Cove got yourselves directly in front of the shop. There were so many things to pick from. Apples, peaches, strawberries, peppers, lettuce, cucumber, lime, spinach, potato, lemon, carrot, onion. The shop owner put your selection together and handed you a few bags. Happily you paid and waited for Cove to make his purchase. Ready to go? Cove grinned, satisfied with his new choice. He had added another bag to his small but growing collection. You nodded.
All right.
Okay, now let's go. Together you and Cove wandered the market, looking for any stalls that caught your attention. Cove was walking around, a spring in his step, talking about the various meal ideas he had in mind. After a while, you had to go greater distances to find something of interest. Several of the stalls were selling same goods. It was only a matter now of which you wanted to buy from. You continued ambling down the path until Cove disappeared suddenly from your peripheral vision, pulling you away from your thoughts. Cove? You spun around, spotting him some steps back. He was standing still. You followed his eyeline past the crowd. Immediately you knew what had grabbed him. Homemade jams and local honey. That stall was glittering with quaint glass jars stacked high, each encasing gels of various colors. Cove's eyes were practically sparkling at the sight. His feet automatically began to take him there, like without being fully aware he had made an unexplained detour. When you got closer, you were surprised there were even more varieties than you thought. There were even different honeys based on what type of pollen the bee used. Cove's focus seemed to be torn between bottles of blackberry jam and one clove honey. I wonder what on earth you could possibly want at this stall. Everything looks really good. You shook your head at him, disapproving. You left him to his quietly dilemma. Your voice was dripping with sarcasm, and there was no holding in your laughter when he gave you a disapproving side eye. You thought things over for yourself too. Orange blossom, honey butter. I love raspberry jam and blueberry jam, and that's everything. You paid the shop owner. Started putting together your order. They carefully packed it in a single bag with paper. Thank you very much. Amused, you watched Cove give in and just buy both the clover honey and the blackberry jam. He also went all in getting Sprig wildflower honey and plum jam too. The shop owner thoughtfully wrapped each in brown paper to protect them before putting them away in a bag. He handed his purchase to Cove. Thank you. You both stepped away from the stall. Cove didn't fail to notice the look you'd been giving him since he agonized over his toast toppers. Hey, this doesn't go bad for a long time, so why not stock up? I could have chosen one if I wanted to. Sure, I get it. Why don't you think I got so many too? Good then. As you began to stroll, Cove looked up at the sky. He smiled. It was sort of unexpected, considering all of this was technically an errand. An unexpected change often upsets him. But he was happy, and Cove liked doing this kind of normal thing. You felt better than you were earlier. You were just feeling down about how this whole trip turned out. Cove's pleased attitude annoyed you. Feeling better. It was going to take a while before you could completely move on from being left in the middle of the market, but with Cove, you were happy you could smile along with him. I'm glad you're having a good time. I wonder what the others are doing around. You made sense. I wonder what the others are doing. Cove didn't seem to know what to say. That was understandable. In your mind, you figured they would have regrouped by now. You wondered what Liz had to say about everything, but it wasn't quite that big of a deal. Later, when you spotted a less crowded area, you took a break from browsing. Cove started rummaging through one of his bags just to check out how his goods were doing. A smile grew on his face as he went on to the next. You chuckled knowing that Cove wouldn't let anything go to waste. There wasn't a single doubt he was going to eat it all. You held a hand in front of your face as you squinted upwards. The sun had moved quite a bit. You'd been in the market for a good while now. Neither your feet nor your arms were sore now, and Cove looked to be doing fine too, but that was something that could be coming. There was a price to pay for this much shopping, and it wasn't always just in money. Oh well. And with that, you and Cove continued your trip through the market together. Mom and Mom both texted you during the trip, though only to say that they hoped you'd found some good stuff and that they'd see you later. There were no answers on where they went or why. You and Cove continued to wind your way through the bustling market, the list of outstanding items slowly shrinking while bags grew heavier. Eventually, Cove realized that he hadn't checked his own phone in a while. The two of you came to a stop in the nearest alcove where you'd be out of a steady stream of people perusing the stalls. He pulled out his phone. Cove rearranged all his bags he was carrying, freeing one hand so he could pull out his phone. You watched his eyes dart over the screen as he read the waiting messages. Not important. I can reply to that later. He mumbled his verdict under his breath. Then Cove's face scrunched with confusion. Wait, I got a message from my dad. Listen to this. Cove, I wasn't part of the plan. I didn't know what was going on when I left Larry's mom. Where are you? He sent that ages ago. I didn't hear it come in. He sent another one since saying he hopes I'm all right and that he hopes he's not bothering me. The newest one says everybody's going to the parking lot soon. We can meet up there. He lowered his phone and his eyes narrowed. The same conclusion that was settling on you landed on Cove as well. So it was on purpose. Your parents weren't off riding bikes in the sunset this time. It was something entirely different. He lifted his phone again, staring hard at the screen. Did my mom pull this stunt when we were little? You know, that time she took us to the mall? At least your mom said she was leaving. My mom had a plan. The mall thing was a spur of the moment. Is this a mom thing? What your mom did was even worse. I don't remember. Didn't say a thing. At least your mom said she was leaving. Yeah, that's true. Crowd of people passing by stayed as noisy as ever, a sharp contrast to the silence that had fallen over you and Cove. He rubbed the screen of his phone against his shirt, wiping away dust and debris. He continued scrubbing the screen long after anything could have remained. The action, a poor substitute for pushing away the awkwardness of the moment. You felt alright about it. This whole mess was so upsetting you. You were furious. You didn't care what your moms had done. You were struggling to comprehend it. This shock was too fresh to even know how to do yet. Upsetting. I would feel bad being abandoned. The deceit was unnecessary, worse than unnecessary. It had stripped you of your opportunity to object. Okay then, fine. How are they going to explain this? I can't believe them. You sniffed, trying to hold back tears. So, when I get angry, I just start crying. I have a problem. I don't really get angry. I have a meltdown. It's an autism thing, I think. But Cove frowned, grew taut, his mouth stiff, serious line, but his eyes wide with concern. I'm sorry about your mom's leaving you alone out here like this without warning. His speech was slower than usual. You expected that he was choosing each word carefully. It was unnatural, but you appreciated that he didn't want to risk upsetting you further. I don't know if you want to talk to them about this, but I can definitely back you up. I totally get that it's sucky. You vented about the debacle. You wanted to let it go. You said nothing at all. We're going to talk to him. I didn't want things to be like this. Tears blurred your vision. You wiped them away quickly. Loved the drama. But they didn't even talk about it. I didn't get a chance to say anything. Cove listened, nodding gently as you unburdened yourself. You then drew a deep breath, the fresh air steadying you. You didn't stop until your lungs were full. Cove watched over you, still concerned. Cove closed his eyes and took a deep breath. His brows creased, then furrowed deeper into his scalp, his arms tightly coiling together. So they did do something stupid. I knew it. His voice had taken an exaggerated quality, but what truly distinguished it from Cove's typical speaking tone was the abundance of rage. This place is such a chore. Parents are so dumb. Why do people have to go places with family members anyway? I hate them. I also hate farmers markets. You got it instantly. It had been years since the boy with the bowl cut had been in town for the summer, but Cove had never forgotten. To this day, he continued to unleash his impression whenever the moment felt right. Sometimes he'd wonder if the act had grown more exaggerated over the years, or the kid really always was that ridiculous. You burst out laughing. You shook your head at Cove's silliness. You played along. You smiled quietly. That kid's never gonna live that down, huh? We're gonna play along. Wow, what is wrong with you?
No.
I'm not wrong, actually. If you were as smart as me, you'd know that. Cove gave you a lopsided smile, letting the joke rest for now. Come on, we should probably meet up with the group. Yeah. You didn't dally any longer, slipping back into the crowd and making your way towards the entrance of the farmer's market. It didn't take long to reach the parking lot. Your parents, Mr. Holden and Liz, were already waiting there, and they waved to you both as you approached. Your own family seemed to be pretty good moods. In contrast to Mr. Holden, he stared at Cove open with concern as you got closer. Hey, bud. Hey, Harry, how you doing? We'd be doing better if we hadn't been abandoned in the farmer's market by our families. You saw your mom's frowning at this response, Ma glancing from Cove to Mom with blinking eyes. Just because Harry tries to make things a good time no matter what doesn't mean you can just leave them out of your plans. Expect them to go along with it every time. Ma hung her head ashamed. Mom had a hand pressed to her cheek. You could tell that they were quickly regretting their schemes. I'm so sorry, Harry. Her words were full of emotion. Mom squeezed Ma's arm. We were trying to make the errand more of a trip and less of a chore. Ma nodded. We didn't think you, Cove, and Liz wanted to be stuck trudging around a market with your parents all day, especially not in the summer. But you're always very thoughtful and don't like to leave your moms behind. So we did ourselves. It was only going to be for the market, not the other stops, I promise. Still, you're right. We could have just told you and let you make your own call. I really am sorry. Neither of us meant to upset you.
Sorry.
All gas, no brakes. We should have known better. Sorry. Ma ditched me too after pulling her urgent potty break stunt. If it helps, I went off to do my own shopping, as it seems they planned. Sorry I didn't check back with you. I wasn't thinking and just tried to blow it off. And we quietly took in their stories. What happened over to the side? Cove was talking to his dad. Thanks for telling me something was up, though I feel bad for missing the warning when you sent it.
You're welcome.
It's no trouble. Sport, I learned my lesson about making surprise plans. Cove smiled at his dad, Mr. Holden laughing and clapping Cove on the back.
Not bad.
Wow, we're really being outplayed today. You realize you hadn't been the only onlookers to the Holden's moment. Your moms were exchanging rueful looks. Liz had her arms crossed over her chest, patiently watching it all unfold. Yes, looks like it. We'd better find some way to catch
In
up.
that case.
Maybe we could do Aries chores for the next week. Ma jabbed Ma on the shoulder. You might be onto something, Ari. How do you like the sound of that? They looked at you hopefully. Sounds good. Make it 2 weeks. You're gonna have to do more than that. I'll think about it. I'll do anything. You don't have to do anything. Make it 2 weeks. Mom laughed despite your total serious words. I hear you. And at the very least, we can make sure everyone stays together for the rest of the stops we're making today. You all nodded at the suggestion.
Yes.
We won't let you down. We'd be the best sheepdogs ever, guarding the flock and catching any strays.
Funny.
We could at least be shepherds. You chuckled, your mood lifting in spite of the bumpy morning. It was going to be all right. You turned to the entrance of the farmer's market for one final glance, pressing into your memory under this new light. You thought on what you'd picked up at the market and how you were going to enjoy it later. Something you only get from local suppliers like this. This was another perk about coming along to the market today. Actually, you realized this would be a good time to bring out the fudge you got to share with everybody while everyone was closer together. Your attention, please, I have something for you all. The announcement grabbed everybody's interest, and they looked over at you, each curious about what you had in store. You dug your hand in the bag and pulled out a specially selected treat. There was this great fudge stall being so kind and generous. I got a box for us to try together. Oh!
Aww.
Aw, that's so sweet of you. The Holdens were wearing matching grins at the prospect of free dessert, their family resemblance more notable as they mirrored each other's expressions. Sweet in the right words. Sweet is the right word for this. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Ari. Thank you.
You're fantastic.
Great. Can't wait to bust it open. We should save it for tonight. You can't properly enjoy a treat when there's still chores to be done. Besides, we don't want to make a mess with it melting in this heat. The others muttered their agreements and nodded, reaching a consensus. You stowed the box away safely for now. Liz clapped her hands together with the air of a teacher calling for attention. Since the other adults aren't acting like grown-ups, the rest of us are going to have to pick up the slack. It's time to get on schedule and continue with the rest of the errands. Playtime is officially over. Ma laughed while Mr. Holden grinned awkwardly. Mom hung her head in an exaggerated display of mock defeat. Kids are tough, and I can't even call them kids anymore. Liz tut-tutted with amusement at her mother. Cove shrugged, staying a neutral observer, but the small smile on his face revealed that he was enjoying the conclusion. Sorry, that term has expired. You grinned, letting them know that you were at least partly joking, though you and Cove and Liz could hardly be called kids these days. You were glad that everyone was getting along. With that, your trip to the farmer's market was closed. It was time to move on. There were too many of you for one car, so you and Cove had wound up in Mr. Holden's car on the way over. You figured it made sense to do the same thing for your next leg of the journey. You took the front seat again. After buckling in, Cove leaned back in his seat, letting himself be cushioned by the headrest. Once he had shifted a little, he appeared to have found a perfect angle for maximum comfort. He gazed out the window, looking suitably contented with the world. You followed suit, hunkering down in your seat, looking out of the window as the car pulled away from the lot. You spent the rest of the day completing the remaining errands together as a group. You enjoyed the brief independence. You were glad you closed the day with everybody. Ma had been true to her words and ensured that you spent the rest of the time with the Payne family and the Holden family in one place. It'd been a wonderful time and a lovely high note to end on. Aw, so sweet. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to hit like and subscribe. That way you can come back and see the next episode. We got 2 left, and then we go into the last step. This is really just an epilogue. So hopefully you'll come back to see that. Anyway, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.